today. B-E-E-J-O, B-E-E-J-O, B-E-E-J-O. Beach is back on checkpoint.
Give you a whole song and everything.
Yeah.
Feels pretty good.
You're just sitting there reading your phone while I'm doing the intro.
Mm-hmm.
How's everyone doing?
Excuse me, I need to tell Windows to not update right this second.
Oh, Windows was like, hey, this seems like a time when you're not doing anything else important. Can I
Right.
update?
Yeah.
It's mad. I keep it turned off all the time.
Oh,
Whoa.
oh,
Yeah, that was fun.
okay. Looks like it's... Windows got
Settled
mad and
itself
froze
down.
your video there for a sec, but it's like, fine. Hey,
It
everybody.
doesn't like it. I put it on nap time.
That must be.
How's it going? Welcome to ChillPoint for March 4th, 2022. This back in the remote setup, which the more observant among you might notice there's a correlation between when we do ChillPoint in the remote setup versus at the office, and whether Friday Night Paper Fight is a in-person game or a thing on Arena.
Yeah, it turns out Paul doesn't like having to go to the office, go home, and then go back to the office.
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes me
yeah.
it takes me about half an hour to get from home to the office, and if ChillPoint ends at 4, then it's kind of a tight transition.
Yeah. You have to run.
I like that the chat's asking if we thought that Paul and or not Paul, sorry, Paul's right in front of me.
Hi.
If Adam and Wheeler would go right into our time, and to that I say they are both very responsible gamers
Yeah.
who would never do that because they know that we gave them that time.
They know the value of free 2-day shipping.
Yeah. Although saying game too long and too fun is the struggle for Play It Forward. That's always a big problem. It's like, oh man.
No. I mean,
Darn.
with the exception of that 8-hour stream, and don't think I didn't notice you asking about when your ad break should be. Those two are generally the most responsible of the streamers we have on crew.
Yeah.
All right. There, you heard it here first. Adam and Wheeler, most responsible streamers we have on crew. Welcome to ChillPoint, show where we talk about video game news and gossip about our coworkers, apparently.
Yeah.
What is this about? This is a show on our network about other people on our network. We can gossip about whoever we want. Let's spill some tea, just right now.
No.
No,
I'm drinking my tea. I'm still drinking my tea.
Yeah, I'm still steep in mine too. Sorry.
All right. Well,
Paul, yours is in less danger because I can't physically go over there. I mean, I can. It's just going to take me a while. It's going to happen in the middle of the show.
So, yeah, this is a show we talk about video game news for the week, as well as the chill points that went up yesterday with Kathleen coming back because she just could not resist the Bandcamp story.
No one else could read that story.
Yeah.
No one else could write that story.
Yeah.
She
that's
wrote a
also
very
fair.
Kathleen story.
I love in our planning thread on the Slack, Graham said Kathleen says she has written a Graham length story.
He has a tendency to write some real long ones.
The notoriety now is just
Yeah. And and awesome that Kathleen contacted got a thing from the Longest Johns getting their take on it, because apparently they've been on Bandcamp for a really long time. So it's
And also because they're from the UK, it means they were probably awake when she was writing the story.
well, they're
I
actually
mean, there's
I
that.
believe they're actually on tour.
Oh, are they?
Or they're at least
Okay.
they're either on tour now or going to be on tour to the US very soon. Yeah, they're touring the US right now. East Coast, unfortunately, I believe. But so let's talk about the stories from ChillPoint. Starting with the Nintendo rewards customer loyalty program, which is, I guess, just an expansion of what they had going on anyway, right?
So,
Yeah.
Nintendo's had a loyalty reward program going on for a very long time. This
With
current
very-
iteration of My Nintendo is Switch based.
It used to be Club Nintendo, right?
Yes. Which was not bad for a time. It was.
You actually got like
some
real
neat
stuff, right? You actually got like physical like things.
You could, yeah.
And
Some of them were not good physical things.
And in
some
a way,
of them were
you
okay.
still can, but we can talk about that in a second.
Yeah. So the current thing with My Nintendo is there's the platinum currency, which is your free currency that you can get for doing various tasks
Yeah,
or missions.
it's labor-based currency. If you perform stuff, that's how you'll get it.
Yeah, and that's always been called a mission thing. And then they have gold currency, which, yeah, I know it's weird that the platinum is the freebie one, and the gold one is what you get for spending money.
Yeah.
So the harder to
on
get one
games.
is the gold currency.
Yes.
The gold currency is generally used for digital goods as well, but also can be used to
Take 67 cents off the price.
Yeah,
of the game
it's
you're
like
buying.
1 gold point equals a penny or something.
Yeah. So if you buy a game and you earn 500 gold points as a result of that, it's like, hey, congrats, you bought this game, you get 500 gold points, and it's on digital purchases. I believe that's the only thing they're doing now is like you can't buy a physical game and get the code in the packet anymore.
Well,
and
no,
then type in
you don't need a
code.
code because you go onto the game cart and you say, "I want to redeem these coins." You have to do it within a year, though.
Okay, fair enough. And it's also only on games that support that. Like I bought Subnautica, and I don't think it actually said.
By the time you bought Subnautica, it's probably too old.
Oh, okay.
I've had some troubles where I bought Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and it says it thinks the game hasn't come out yet to receive the gold points. So that's a really weird thing within their own system. That can happen. The digital thing that they try to push is certain games are sometimes worth double gold points.
Yeah.
But we're talking today about the platinum points because that's what these missions will occur around. The new missions specifically are based on the Nintendo Service Online.
Yeah, NSO, Nintendo Switch Online.
Nintendo Switch Online. And that's why it's in the NSO app.
Yeah, it's based around features of NSO. For example, like once per week, if you launch the NSO app, you get points for that. Congratulations. That's like
the bar is pretty low.
Yeah, it's you're doing your cloud saves,
and
you're playing the games,
and that's like Animal Crossing Pocket Camp and Fire Emblem Heroes and all that. When you were playing those, if you were launching that once per week, then My Nintendo would know that you have launched it because you've linked them to My Nintendo, and then you could go earn those points. You go into the My Nintendo website and you would say earn points, and then it would say, yes, look, I saw that you logged in this week, so you can hit the earn points button, and
I believe that they can get really weird with the platinum points if you start looking at the specific games, because so Fire Emblem Heroes lets you earn platinum points for doing certain things, but you're earning Fire Emblem Heroes specific platinum points, which still count as normal platinum points if you're paying for a normal platinum point thing. But if you're looking for a specific Fire Emblem Heroes thing, sometimes they can gate it to those points.
And I've never seen that happen.
But I think they can.
Yeah, but I've never seen it happen. But I believe you're probably right. They could, because the points that you get have a little icon and shit on them.
They point out which game you've gotten them all
exactly.
from. I think that's weird.
But it has not ever happened yet. So as far as so that's the simplest thing. Launch the app, you'll get some points. Well, then it's also like, oh well, play a game that uses the backup save data feature of NSO. So if you're playing Animal Crossing every week, you are already using that option.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's
I played Pokemon Legends, and it was like, oh, you've played a game that has some online component in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't care that you're actually playing online with friends or anything.
Yeah.
So it feels like a good portion of these are just things you'll get incidentally by like not actually
most
trying.
likely. Yeah. The trick though is of course like you might earn that stuff, but you have no idea that you're earning it unless you go into the NSO app. Which
Oh, you have to actually like claim it.
I don't know if I don't think I had to hit the claim button.
I think it auto claims.
Yeah, I think it auto claims. But it might auto claim when you enter the NSO app. Like it might just be like,
yeah, I'm not sure on that.
And it's so what's weird is that it's like because you have no way of telling whether you've earned them or not.
A little thing doesn't like bling.
And that's what bothers me is I'm like they put this into the thing, and I know that they put this into the system, and I'm like I know that it would be really frustrating to be seeing a thing pop up being like, oh, you just backed up your save data to NSO, and I'm like, yeah, every week that would say that thing, and I'd be like, that's kind of frustrating, and it would be probably like very misleading to people who don't know what the hell is this thing that's going on.
Okay,
I'm not done, but I also get that it'd be really really frustrating for users to see that over and over again, because what if you don't care?
I mean,
there's that.
Yeah, have it as a setting, I guess.
Yeah, you'd have to go in and say turn off notifications.
You have to go into that app in order to like buy the icons and things. And really, it's people want people to go into that app to look at stuff. Like they've made that app. They've made it a terrible glaring red in the middle of my screen, but they've made it, and they want you to go to it. And really, when you look at the tasks that they want you to do, like doing your cloud backups and playing the feature game of the week. This week was Super Mario Brothers. Making sure that you use the app. What they're trying to do is that thing where you're like, when you do a survey, and you're like, did you even know that any of our stuff exists? And everyone's like, no. And so this is a way to be like, hey, did you know you can do cloud saves? You should do your cloud saves. If you click on the how-to thing, we'll tell you how to do them even.
And yet, ironically, I didn't know this existed at all.
Well, it just came out the day before.
But there was nothing on the Switch that said, hey, like there's a... So when you start up your Switch, there's three things along the side that usually this is places where Nintendo wants to talk about news for whatever's going on. The newest Direct is up, or the Pokemon Direct is up, or like, hey, have you tried playing this game? Or some stuff is on sale. Bethesda sale's happening, right? And I'm like, why wouldn't you use one of those to say missions and rewards?
Do you ever go into your newsfeed proper?
No.
You only look at the top three?
I only see the three because it's the first three that come up next to the thing.
I went to my newsfeed proper. I have to, because I also have a Japanese account, which means my newsfeed gets flooded with Japanese versions of all the stuff as well. And I found it in there.
Right, but that means you had to go in and go looking for it. And I'm like, if this is a thing they want to entice people to do these things more and to encourage people to do more stuff, why didn't they bubble it up to, launching today, this new thing?
It's also possible that they hadn't put out the announcement when you had looked at your thing yet.
I mean, it still hasn't shown up.
Sometimes Nintendo does a thing, and I literally learn about it from every news source.
But
in Twitter, and then 5 minutes later, the Nintendo Twitter will have posted.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe they're doing
it takes time sometimes,
or they're doing kind of like a soft launch thing, right? Where you sort of put it out for a little
while
while and then see how people like it.
Do you know that when I go to make a tweet or post like the CheckPoint episode, that sometimes I have to hang on to it if I want to be the one to post about it first in Discord. If I take the 5 minutes to hit live and then go do all the other stuff, someone will definitely hit that into our Discord before I will. That's how fast people are.
So missions is one thing. A way to do stuff that's NSO related. Hey, play NES, play the game that we're going to tell you to play. Or really just load it up, and then, because that's what I did. I loaded it up, I listened to the opening music, and then I went back into the NSO app, and it's like, you played this. I'm like, it's like every other thing I've ever seen that does this. It only looks to see, did you launch the thing? Yes, you must have played it. Rewards is the other side of this. And missions, I'm like, everyone knows that I like earning points. I think that's a thing among our friends, even that they know that Beej is a mad fiend for just earning points.
I do want to note that I think missions are going to be different depending on your area, to the point where, based on what someone was saying in the Discord, they can't access any.
Oh, neat.
So
Okay.
they might not have any in their region. The graphic that Paul put up had an extra mission in it than what shows up in our switches.
Right. Yeah, we didn't get that in Canada. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
But and I couldn't do a screen cap. I was trying to do screen
That-
caps on the Switch, and you can't do a screen cap in the NSO app.
Yeah, the images that I was using for that were just from the actual like Nintendo article. They posted a bunch of images, so maybe that's in the U.S. store. Or that was a
We
sample
could have
or
hooked it
something.
up to the computer and gotten some screen grabs that way.
So part of the thing, I will say this, is that at least because it's platinum points, it's not NSO points or something ridiculous, right? Because it's platinum points, it means that it goes into the same platinum point bucket that you have at My Nintendo. And the rewards aspect, if you were not able to tell from the story,
Not
I
that
feel is
impressed.
sorely lacking.
Well, I would rather get some themes for
Yeah.
the Switch.
They seem to be really.
When I saw backgrounds, I thought they meant backgrounds for your Switch.
So they're
and, like,
really
we would start
focusing
moving
on
towards
like
themes.
Avatar stuff. It seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is super weird because Nintendo Switch Sports is coming out, and we still don't have a Mii Maker built into the Nintendo Switch.
No, you do. That's how you make your Mii for your
You
profile.
do it online. That's how you do it.
No,
I
I
don't
did
think
it.
it's.
I did it through my Switch.
I did not see it on the Switch.
I did mine through my Switch.
Okay, cool. I will accept.
It was like years ago.
I will accept what you were saying.
Okay.
I brought mine over from my Nintendo account, my Nintendo Network ID, and from like the Wii and the Wii U. Like it just kind of followed me all the way over. And if I had to make changes to it, though, I had to go online. So, but anyway, the avatar thing, where it's like new user icons or new frames or new backgrounds for inside the frame, largely, I mean, did not impress me. And I don't know. Maybe there'll be people out there who are like, oh, sweet, I did want to be Mario Frog. And I want to put a ring around
I
him.
thought the Mario Frog was pretty.
Mario Frog
like
was
the
pretty
Hat Ghost.
cute, actually.
Yeah, I
really
did
like
pick
that,
the best
and-
of all of them. I want to, hey audience, I want to be clear. I picked the best of all of them to make fun of. And even then, it's like, because otherwise it's like, do you want the Hat Kingdom's cat? What's it called
It's
again?
Cappy.
No, but Cappy lives in Bonneton. That's what
Yeah.
it's called. Bonneton. The you can have that, and I'm like, it was a very good looking graphic, but I'm like, but it's so goddamn tiny, and it's gonna flash on you because it's not like you're gonna see it that often. Like it'll be up in the corner of your screen, but you're not really looking there all the time. It's like your friends are gonna see that and be like, what the hell's that? Like more than you are probably going to recognize that you're seeing it. But at least ignoring all that, at least it means that it's a way to earn. It's another way that you can earn more platinum points, so that you can use it towards stuff. And then, as I said, there are physical things you can get. They have a store.
Those
And I know that's hard to see, but then My Nintendo store now has physical rewards that you can get right through Nintendo's own store. It's exclusive to people who get that.
Those posters we talked about a while ago were a My Nintendo Rewards thing, weren't
Yeah.
they?
There's
They were
been a
only in
number
Japan,
of
I think, or only in Europe, but
yeah, there's a number of physical things you can so what they used to do with like the Club Nintendo was you would put I think it was still a point-based system, I think.
Yeah, but plat was the big currency.
Yeah. And they still kind of do that, and now it's like now you also pay for shipping.
Yeah.
And I think I mean, I look at that and I'm like, I think that's how you end up having to do it in the end. But I would have expected maybe some better items overall.
Well, and I mean, like Club Nintendo's thing, if I remember correctly, was in the course of a calendar year, you have to spend a certain amount of money, and every time you're spending money and registering your games, you're earning more and more and more and more points. And then if you clear the platinum threshold, then you're technically a platinum member of Club Nintendo. And at the end of the year, because they have your mailing address, then they ship you whatever the prize is.
Well,
for
you
the
get
year.
the option of selecting a big prize.
You had to select it. Okay.
I think so. I think
Okay.
you had to opt in for it because there was a point where they gave you an option.
Okay.
Because some of the options started to become digital.
Right.
That's how I got a digital copy of a game, because one year I just looked at the big plasticky thing they wanted to send me, and I was like, I don't want that.
Right. And so my Nintendo has become more of this thing of smaller items, like a lot of stationary items, a lot of a lot. Like I got you some Hyrule Warriors stuff. I think I got you a Hyrule
You
Warriors
got me
notebook.
a pad of paper that I can never write on
Exactly.
because then it will be gone.
Exactly. You could get like what they have on the site right now. The thing that I think is the most interesting for me, they have a My Nintendo Switch game case, which is a Switch cartridge. It's a Switch cartridge case. Looks like a normal case. When you open it up, it has 8 slots in it instead of just the one for a cart. It has 8 slots for carts. And so it's the size of a normal case. So it's like, oh, I have a bunch of carts, well, I can put them all in here, and it's only one case, and it has a nice cover on it that looks very pleasing and everything. And I'm like, that's 600, I think, 600 platinum points, which it's not going to take a long time to earn plat. Like you might have to wait like a few months if you're starting from 0, but I mean, I still have 1,000 plat in my.
They expire
in my
after
a year.
6 months, I think.
Gold.
Gold is a year.
I thought it was reversed.
No, because gold was 6 months along with platinum, and people had a fit, and they made gold a year.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know why they let it expire at all, other than it's like, hey, let's do a shitty thing.
Why? Because they don't want people stockpiling at it so much, I guess.
I guess. I
Yeah,
just don't
I
know what you do with it. Like, how is it good to you otherwise? But ultimately, it's like there's some kind of neat things, and to see like this thing come to NSO, I'm like, that's cool. If more people hear about it and they start using it, great.
So the icons are interesting in the fact that I wouldn't have expected Mario Odyssey to be on there since that title is as old as it is.
Yeah.
And they're limited, like they're limited time though. They're sort of releasing them in batches.
So they're doing them. It looks like they're doing them on a monthly basis. They want to swap them out, and I know there's like a whole FOMO thing, but I'm not sure this is like FOMO
it's not
is
going back in the Disney vault.
Yeah, I mean, FOMO is this thing that we've decided that everything is the moment it doesn't exist forever now, and while I get that there is like a legitimate fear of missing out for some things, the Animal Crossing ones, the reason the ones that exist for March right now is because those are the villagers who have March birthdays.
Yep.
Which means that next month's, the April ones, will probably be the ones that have April birthdays.
Yeah,
and it'll probably circle back, to be honest.
And I think the line, at least for me, for like that is when it starts being like marketed in that way. Like if it's like, get them now or it's never going to be there again.
Yeah.
That's when it's like, I don't like this. But yeah,
I've
I mean,
seen...
if you've got some, like the birthday thing, I mean, obviously it's an arbitrary thing.
Well, there's
that they
400 Animal Crossing characters.
Gave...
Can you imagine having a list of 400 to look through all at once?
True.
But yeah, having a cycle and also having them come back, I think is a nice way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. I've noticed in, I think it's Pikmin Bloom, whenever they have a community day event, which is like walk 10,000 steps on that day, get special badge that says you walked 10,000 steps on that day. I'm pretty sure in the news bulletin for it, there's like a little footnote that says that this specific badge might come around again.
I was just thinking about the sort of these like silly sort of point systems, and I think my favorite one, my favorite like video game, the sort of point system in the realm of these point things that ultimately don't actually matter, in the sense of like they're trying to make a loyalty program without really giving you anything significant, right? But I always kind of liked the way the Ubisoft U points do it, where it's kind of like achievements, like you get it's or missions, right? You get play points by doing various things in games. So, kill 10 guys and you get 10 points or whatever. But the points are not connected to that game. They're just a bucket of points that you have in your Uplay account. So you can get them from wherever you want.
Right.
And then there's in-game DLC. So there's like cosmetics and things that there'll be some that you have to like pay money for, and there's some that you can buy. You either pay money or get or use Uplay points to get. Or sometimes there's even actually like this is a special extra dungeon that you can access for 200 Uplay points or something. Okay. So it's like real stuff. It's not like a whole game or anything like that, but it's like something that's like kind of significant, and it's like you're like, oh hey, I got this thing. And it's what I especially like about it is that because it's passed throughout games, you like, for instance, I always have a bunch of Uplay points that I don't need for anything because you don't use them that much, and you pick them up in various games and stuff, right? So you're like, oh hey, I have 500 points. I could spend 100 and get this cool outfit. Cool. I think the idea of sort of having so like you like points that you earn in one game can be then spent in a different game is kind of an interesting idea in the realm of like unlocking stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean ultimately they're just like, yay, it's a number. It's a point thing.
So whenever you look at a point program or a loyalty program or whatever, it always comes from a PR team.
Right.
And I've heard stories of PR teams and like what they get to do sometimes to announce games, or they get to come up with the here's the bundle that we're putting in with the game, all the advertising, all of that stuff, right? And they don't get to dictate their budgets,
right?
Generally. And a loyalty program, especially one that gives off physical goods, even like if you're doing air miles or whatever, has a budget of how much they're allowed to spend, which is gonna be a thing of how limited are you. And a lot of times when I see a points program that feels very like, oh, they just keep making stationery and all these really cheapy things, or they only do digital stuff, and I'm like, yeah, because that was probably the extent of their budget.
Yeah.
Digital, the way digital stuff has become more common, not just the point programs, but just in general, as is actually kind of nice for these point, like, even for giveaways, or like for things we do for like, Loading May Run, or even for Desert Bus or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. It's so much easier to give away, 10 codes for games on Steam than to ship 10 people 10 games.
Yeah.
And you're effectively doing the same thing for the customer. So that the fact that digital goods have been, are so much more common now is probably a boon for various loyalty programs. But
yeah, and I mean
it's always what's the least it's like, what's the minimum we can do that will still get people kind of excited.
Yeah, and for giveaways at like a charity event, because Desert Bus gets people to donate things. The reason you can sometimes get better things is every single company that donates can use that as a tax write-off.
Right, of course.
Right, that's not the same thing as being like, we have to spend money to physically produce goods.
Yeah.
And then Desert Bus still has to get that stuff shipped. And, the post office isn't going to be like, we're just going to give you free shipping on everything. Mm-hmm. Somebody has to cover that.
But I mean, it used to be like, Xbox Gamer Score and PlayStation trophies, which I think both of those still exist in some form, don't get you anything. Like, there's literally nothing. It's a number that's on your account that other people can see. There has never been any promotional stuff tied to it in terms of like, if you're above this level, you get a cool thing.
Oh my, though. Have I seen the conversations about whether or not the Switch should have achievements or not?
But but you know, especially like Xbox achievements used to be like a big thing.
Yeah.
And then but people kind of fell off that. But
You're just not hanging out in the right forum spaces if you're not seeing people talk about them.
maybe you're right.
Which is fine. You don't necessarily want to hang out in those spaces, Paul.
I got that achievement already. Not hanging out where people are talking about achievements. All right. Well, let's move on to this Bandcamp Epic thing, which is one of these interesting stories that is not technically a gaming story, but you know, one of the interesting aspects of reporting on gaming news is video game companies, you know, especially like Epic and Microsoft and these kind of companies are so big that they're more, you know, and Sony and stuff. That they're you know they're big multinational corporations with fingers in a lot of different pies, and so you other industries kind of brush up against the video game industry as they go by. And so this is, you know, this Bandcamp, very popular indie musician song streaming and selling service that is not only very popular but very well regarded among both users and the artists. Yeah, being bought by Epic, which it's, I mean, Kathleen talked about it, but it's best case scenario, they give them a bunch of money and don't mess with them too much. Which is, I think, definitely something that could happen.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's ways that could go bad as well. But I love my favorite take was Epic buys somebody was like, Epic buys Bandcamp in order to get their sweet actually having a shopping cart technology. Although the Epic Game Store has added a shopping cart like a few months ago. So
wow.
Yay, they finally got that. You could buy more than one thing at a time now.
Lurker Spine has said they'd really like to know why Bandcamp was even for sale. When it comes to these kinds of acquisitions, these things aren't necessarily up for sale. You can sometimes have a big corporation just show up at your doorstep and be like, "Hey, we want you.
Here's a
Will
dump
you
truck
take all
full
this
of money."
money?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it would be like someone showing up to your house. Okay, your apartment, let's face it, nobody actually owns. And being like, "I'd like to take over your rent, and I'm gonna pay you a lot of money for you to leave." Would you really say no? If that opportunity just shows up?
Yeah. I mean, so we'll see. Obviously, we'll see how it goes. And it's an interesting aspect where you know, the idea of Epic sort of getting into the music business effectively. So maybe part of this is they're wanting to build closer relationships with music stuff and incorporate that more into Fortnite. Who knows?
Maybe. It's possible we're not gonna know for a while. I think what I saw was that they were intending to leave Bandcamp alone for now.
Yeah.
I think Kathleen's take of like this is more to do with their Epic versus Apple thing is an interesting idea. There's all kinds of things that this could be about. Someone might just really like Bandcamp, like,
And there is the interesting aspect of the Apple versus Epic store thing is that, you know, we've primarily been looking at it from the perspective of Apple and Epic, and you know who wins the lawsuit, who won the thing, who got the better deal, blah 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 blah. But you know, from the perspective of say Bandcamp, who has a app in the Apple App Store that they don't want to sell music on because they don't want to pay the 30% to Apple. Like they're regardless of Epic's ulterior motives and stuff, which they have, of course, you know, forcing the both Apple and Google to uh, lower that percentage, that's good for them. And so I could, they're, they're probably happy that with what Epic has been doing in that regard.
Oh, sure.
But it's odd because it's like, there's the the big corporations, Apple and Epic and stuff, and then there's the consumers, us, being like, does this mean things are going to be cheaper? Well, not necessarily, because it might just mean that the company gets to keep a bigger chunk of the profits, maybe. But then there's the third party, which is the people who are making the apps in the App Store, who are sort of between these other big people fighting each other. That hopefully, hopefully this will allow Bandcamp to do some more interesting things in that regard.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, I doubt we're gonna see Bandcamp starting to sell music through their app over an acquisition. If they're gonna be truly left alone, because maybe Bandcamp is sufficient on its own, maybe nothing changes really, just that they have a new owner. At the same time, the people at Epic has a lot of money, so maybe they can push cash flow and let them expand into something bigger. It's all stuff we're not really gonna see for like maybe a couple of years. How that pans out, at least from our perspective as like end users and consumers.
If you start seeing like, if because usually there's like clauses in buyouts like this, but if at like the 2 or 3 year point, a bunch of the higher ups at Bandcamp all leave all at the same time, because like that's when the no compete clauses or the like stuff has expired on the contract, then that something bad is going on. But we may not hear about it until then.
Yeah, I mean, I know there are a lot of people who are worried because they don't like Epic, and you should draw your lines in the sand wherever you need to, morally. I know there are going to be people who decide not to buy stuff from Bandcamp now because Epic owns them. That's your right to choose. I have seen a tweet that suggested that people are trying to boycott the Bandcamp Fridays when they give all the money to the artists, and I agree that is a silly idea because that is the day the bands are supposed to get all of the money from the sale. So
like
maybe
pre-boycotted.
Maybe don't boycott that day. Maybe only buy your stuff on that day.
Yeah. There you go. Cat Cafe Manager.
It's a fun one to write.
It's adorable.
Yeah, it really is.
Although I have to say, when I first saw the name, I kind of wished it was a thing about running a cafe for cats, not a cafe that just has cats in it.
You should try Pokemon Cafe Remix. That's definitely it's all about running a cafe.
I have played that a little bit, yeah.
It's
Although the Pokemon also work in the cafe in Cafe Remix.
Because... don't you end up working at the place that you frequent the most?
Yeah. So you go there every once in a while. After you go there a certain number of times, you just start working there.
I assume that's how Serge got a lot of his jobs.
I mean, I actually assume Serge just walked in, went to the back room, and people just never said anything.
He just walked into a cafe one day and he's like, "This place is pretty good. I'm going to help out." And he just went in the back and started making coffee.
Can you not see him doing that?
Yeah,
I can totally see him doing that.
The employment relationship between you and the Pokemon in Pokemon Cafe Remix is somewhat questionable, I have to say. But anyway.
This is Cat Cafe Manager it's a new game coming out, and it's just very straightforward kind of idea. You're running a cat cafe and you're welcoming cats in off the street to be part of your cafe. and you clean up their piss.
Seems like a weird form of kidnapping.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure cat cafes don't just like find strays in the neighborhood. I think there's a process you have to go. You want to
There
go
are-
through. To
I
get
would
the
hope
cats.
so. I'm not really familiar though.
There are some cat cafes apparently who, because I've been seeing a lot of this stuff. There are ones where it's like the cats are there, but you're not allowed to interact with them. They're allowed to they get to walk around and
Right.
stuff, but you're not allowed to pick them up. If you can pet them with your hand, then you're lucky. But you're not allowed to pick them up and put them in your laps or anything else like that. You're not allowed to feed them food or whatever. There are some where the cats are like they're the stars of the show, and so it's like the same 12 cats or 15 cats, and they're all get used to living in this space, and that's how it is. And then there are some where it's like these are cats that are up for adoption.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard of the ones that do the adoptions.
Yeah.
The what I love people talking in the chat is brought up Calico, and apparently there's another game that's called Cat Cafe Simulator. So apparently the Cat Cafe simulation genre has actually a fair amount of competition in it.
Well, now, all right. Yeah,
You-
it's
Well,
The
most-
setting, I would
Yeah.
say, because the game that you wrote about looks very much like. I mean, you mentioned like Hotel Dash and whatnot,
Yeah.
and it has that feel. Whereas Calico, from what little I've played of it, while it's not quite that same management sim. It's a bit
Mm.
different in 3D, and you can ride your giant cats and stuff. It's a bit different.
That is different.
I'm not saying it's not in the same setting area. I'm just saying if you're looking for a very specific gameplay, you might want to look at what the games are about.
we need a cat cafe Metroidvania is what we need.
I mean,
Okay,
it
look,
could
all
work.
I need,
Mhm.
all I need is for every video game to let me put on a pair of cat ears where I can see them on my character,
Yes.
and then I'm done.
Fair. Yeah.
So
understood.
So where's my cat ears for Bloodstained?
I mean they already have that in Halo Infinite.
Shit, I think there might be cat ears.
There
in
are cat
Bloodstained.
ears in Bloodstained, aren't there?
Yeah,
I
there
thought there
are.
were.
There's bunny ears, I think, for sure.
Yeah,
It's been
Monster
so long
Hunter
since I
Rise.
played.
I mean,
Yeah.
your demands are not that unreasonable. A lot of games have already are already there.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 14.
I mean, Final
Yeah,
Fantasy
I'm
14 doesn't
just
even like
saying-
Final Fantasy 14. They actually are cat people.
Yeah.
Where are my cat ears for Hollow Knight? I mean, I know Team Cherry's very busy working on Silksong, but where are my cat ears for Hollow Knight?
That'd be a weird ad though, because
Would it?
everything's bugs. Like
Uh-huh.
everything's bugs. There's no mammals in that
Are you
game.
saying bugs can't cosplay?
No, but there's no mammals in this world.
So
So I don't think they know what a cat is.
they wouldn't call them cat ears, but they still look like cat ears.
I guess maybe, yeah.
There's got to be bugs that have little like. I mean, there's bugs that have like little furry antenna.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cute.
That could
They're
be
not;
good.
those are not cat ears, obviously. But
They look close enough.
just double check that my torrents aren't having a.
Yeah, our camera is pausing a lot, which is real
We're still paused, so okay, everything's cool.
weird. I
Okay.
don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. That
Hope that
Is-
doesn't affect my stream tonight.
I'm sure we'll be fine.
Other stuff. So then we
All the
did
quick points.
a bunch of quick points, which we can go through these quickly. Valve is actually working on games again. Yay!
Great. That's
By the
awesome.
way, if you haven't played, if you check out the Aperture Desk Simulator, is a little game that they made to they made for the Steam Deck. Aperture Desktop. That's it.
Oh, right, the
So,
one that's supposed to kind of
it's-
tutorial.
Yeah, it's
you through
basically a
the-
tutorial for the Steam Deck, but it's really, I mean, as with anything, a lot of things that Valve makes and everything to do with Portal, it's actually like super cool, and you know, it does like a tutorial on it. It's basically a tutorial on how to use the different things, but it actually like expands on the Portal story a little bit, and it's like fully
interesting.
voiced and interesting characters and stuff. Like it's like, holy crap, you
It's,
spent way
it-
too much work on this.
Yeah, it's my understanding is you can still download it without the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I
But
played.
you need to use a controller.
Yeah, I played it last night. Actually, it's only about like half an hour. It's like a
Neat.
it's like a mini game thing, but
That's
it's
a great idea.
yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah,
on
I'm
Steam.
really curious to see that actually. I've been reading so much stuff about the Steam Deck lately.
Actiblizzing.
Activision being sued about. I mean, I feel like this is just like building on other lawsuits and things that are happening. It's just like, at every step of the process, somebody is getting screwed over, so somebody is suing somebody else.
But I do think this is interesting that this is shareholder activism. Shareholder activism. Activision sounding like activism is really tough sometimes.
That might be
especially when
intentional.
looking at the word. But this is the shareholders getting involved, and I mean, it says it's a shareholder. I think more shareholders are interested in this idea because I think a lot of shareholders are mad at what's gone on at Activision Blizzard for the last little while, and
As well they
the
should be.
lawsuit. Yeah, the lawsuit is built around the idea that it's like you're going to, by Microsoft's acquisition of ActiBliz is going to mean that all the executives will get. We've talked about this before, where like Bobby Kotick is going to get like a massive payout package once they make it through the acquisition, and then he just if he decides to leave at whatever point when he earns his package, he'll leave with like millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Was it even if he gets wrongfully dismissed, he has still a fairly sizable parachute?
The only way that he can get dismissed and not get his parachute is that if through whatever investigations come out that he has actually found liable to have caused this, like to be a part of causing this problem, and it's a very like narrow window, and even then he leaves with like a couple $100,000.
I mean, I respect the idea of this, but like the whole point is that it's in his like if Microsoft or Activision Blizzard wants to fire Bobby Kotick, they don't want to pay him all. Like they don't want to pay him all this money.
No,
They're going to do everything they can to not pay him all the money. But
I
that's
think
the whole point of his contract, right? Like I don't really see what the liability aspect of this is, but
what I think is interesting is like as a shareholder, you're like the price of Activision and Blizzard. If you're the argument being that the price of Activision and Blizzard fell enough that Microsoft is now interested in acquiring it. That might be the argument they're trying to make, and the reason it fell is because the relative position of it in the market. It's like I didn't invest in this company for it to be purchased by another company. I invested in this company because I believed in the strength of the company and believed in the strength of what they were putting out there. And watching the price fall and then watching them get acquired, you could make the argument, you don't have to believe it, but you could make the argument that but your actions purposely devalued my shares, which meant that this acquisition would have happened, and now I'm in this position, and so I'm upset. And I think it's interesting that like this is throwing a monkey wrench into the potential acquisition, because if this has standing, like if there's legs to this, I guess is maybe the more important thing. This could put a block on the acquisition happening at all. Because you say, well, there's people who believe that this actually shouldn't be happening, and then you start to have other lawyers be arguing about that kind of thing too.
I have a question. Microsoft is buying Activision Blizzard, right? That's essentially what's happening. Who gets the money, right? Like, does that all go to shareholders? Does that go to just executives? Like, when you buy a thing that you end up acquiring, it's not like they give the money to Activision Blizzard and now that they have their money back, right?
It's the owners of the company, and in a public company, that's the shareholders.
Right. So wouldn't the argument be more likely that because the share price went down, we're actually making less money on the acquisition?
Technically.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
Like, we could have made more money if you hadn't made our share prices go down when the thing came.
I mean, I think I talked about this when we were talking about the last time we went through the Activision Blizzard stuff. Is the idea of in financial thing, which I kind of like, is the all crime is securities fraud.
Yeah.
ultimately, this idea that, like, you know, if you kill somebody, you know, and you're the CEO of a company, yes, you killed somebody and you committed murder, but also you killing somebody and getting arrested is going to make the stock price of your company go down, and your shareholders are going to be mad about that.
And if you and you would have been fine if you had just said in your annual report, "I'm planning on killing somebody next year."
Yeah,
You're
then
all starting to sound like an
then that
episode
would
of
be okay.
Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah, then they would have known, and it'd be like, "Oh, well, we know to expect that. We know that the projections for this year is that they're going to kill a person. So that's all right."
All right. Well, that's weird.
Yeah.
Can we move on?
Yes.
Here,
Oh,
I'm
the
just gonna
Amico.
do one thing here.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Hopefully that will improve things.
So the Amico has stopped their funding. Thing they're doing $58,000 instead of the $5 million they were aiming for, which was only going to keep them going for like a little while longer for them to do another round of funding. So yeah, not good.
Now there's I saw somebody in
there
the
an update to
CheckPoint
this?
comments had said that that Intellivision is getting acquired by another company. I don't know anything about that because, again, when we write these on Wednesday night, then we perform them on Thursday, and then we talk about the stuff on Friday. So
Yeah.
by the time this all happens, it's like it's 2 days late in the cycle where we're hearing about stuff, and it's like, oh, you guys didn't talk about this, and it's like, how could we go back and fix that? We can't really.
It's also sometimes why you don't see us talking about a story that's still unfolding.
Yeah.
Especially if it comes out the day that we're like writing about it.
But it'll be interesting to see what happens, because I think that while Intellivision is getting acquired, I don't think that whoever is acquiring them is thinking that, boy, this Amico thing sure sounds great. We need to get our hands into this. I think it's more about the intellectual property. It's like acquiring the Amiga company, right? It's like owning Amiga. It's like, now we can maybe do things with Amiga in the future. We can slap Amiga on the side of a toaster and be like, we're selling a video toaster. Isn't this great? And be like, yeah, sure. Okay, whatever.
I mean, as we've talked about, the sort of hollowing out the corpse and puppeting inside the company.
I mean, we none of us were really expecting this device to even make it to market, right?
But maybe, I mean,
I wasn't.
One silver lining might be that there were, at least apparently, there were several games in development exclusive for the Amico. So maybe those will actually come out for other things now. Considering the Amico was theoretically an Android-based device, it should be not that hard to adapt it to other stuff.
I think it might depend on their contracts.
But, I mean, if the company is gone, then maybe that's irrelevant.
Because I mean, if the contract was that you're making an exclusive game for this console, but the console never comes out, I don't know.
I don't know if
maybe you can argue breach of contract because they didn't.
You can maybe argue it, but I don't know if you would. I still think it's going to depend on what how that contract is written.
Yeah, and how you got paid to make the thing in the first place.
If what we said was true about the exclusive version had to have an Amico specific feature, then you could probably argue that the one that you put out elsewhere doesn't have the feature it was going to have.
Oh, Mangled Pixel says that the company they work for, Retro Games Limited, just released the A500 Mini, which is a mini console version of the Amiga 500, and it's out. It has gone to market.
Well,
so congratulations on that.
So if you want to get that Amiga old school style, then you can just have one.
So I watched this is tangent. The 8-Bit Guy did a thing on the Commodore Amiga 1000. Interesting thing to watch because he gets into the details of it. But what's fascinating about what happened with Amiga, I didn't know this, is that the Commodore 64, 128, everything that got made, and then the Atari ST got made as well. And then what happened was a bunch of people, like I think executives, left Commodore and then brought a bunch of people with them over to Atari. And when that happened, all these people came over to Atari. A lot of people from Atari left and formed a company called Amiga to make a new computer because they weren't going to be able to make their computer, I guess, at Atari. And then Commodore was like, we don't have anything we can make anymore. Oh shit, we'll just buy Amiga. And so they bought Amiga and they brought a whole bunch of people back over to Commodore.
I like in my mind the like Amiga, Atari, Commodore. I do get those like
Yeah.
mixed up in my mind, and I'm realizing that that's probably intentional on their part.
Yeah. And it turns out, well, they're all kind of related at that one time. They were all kind of doing that with each other. But
All right, can we talk about Pokemon yet?
yeah, let's
Yeah.
do that.
Fancy. This seems to be the way that they market new Pokemon games right now. Is that
Yes.
or they've done it the same way for the last
This has
little
kind of
while.
always
Yeah.
been this way.
Yeah.
Is they release the 3 starters, and then everyone proclaims their love for whichever one, and
Yeah.
it's sort of like Harry Potter houses or whatever. You have to lock in on one of them, and everyone who doesn't do the one that you like is wrong and bad and
Yeah.
stupid.
Need your leaf starters.
Yes, no, Rowlet is still perfect and the best.
Mhm.
Like the way Pokemon works is you always get 3. Yes, I have at least 2 Rowlets here, and then like 3 more back there.
Yes.
There's again, Rowlet is perfect boy. The way starters work is you always get fire, water, grass, and generally because the games are set up to be a thing of we want you to trade with other people, and therefore not all the Pokemon are actually in the other game.
Right.
That's another thing where generally you can't get the other starters in the game, so you have to pick one and then hope that you're going to be able to get one from someone else who's done some breeding so that you can complete your Pokedex.
So when you
Yes?
when you choose one of the 3 starters, the other 2 aren't in the game at all.
You
Is that how
cannot
it
find
usu-
them. They
is that-
cannot
that-
become yours.
That's usually. Oh, I did not
That's
actually
usually
know
how
that's
that
how that
works.
works.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I wasn't aware either.
You said you were playing what was it? Soul Silver? Heart Gold?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the other starter show up anywhere in the game that you could catch?
Have
Now
you
that
added
you
them to your
mentioned
Pokedex?
that, yeah, it's one of those things. There's so
Yeah.
many Pokemon that it never really occurred to me, but it's like, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. So, and then you get people who are upset because they don't know what the end evolutions are. And I mean, truthfully, when you can only pick one, you kind of
This time we're in
You
right
know?
now is very exciting. This is
Yes.
the I remember like when Rowlet and Poplio and the fire cat
Litten.
Litten.
were out. There was a lot of very amusing things about like what are they going to evolve into?
Yeah.
And
This
so
is the-
this
this
is
is
a
the-
fun time.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so-
the time when everyone is arguing about the fact that they no longer have perfect information about their beloved universe.
Look, this is one of the few times where I see people arguing about something silly that I can at least get behind.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, we've had Litten, Firecat, which again, why like the whole idea of like does Grass Cat turn into like Litten turns into the big wrestler cat at the end.
Right.
Incineroar.
But also it's a cat that's lit. And now we have a grass cat, which everyone's referring to as the weed cat.
Yeah.
So, in what generation do I get the water cat that is also a drug thing
Oh yeah.
Just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a bong
like
cat.
a bong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
as a starter?
I've been loving
Really
the
long
the
neck
thing.
cat.
Who was it? Was it Christina V? Did a whole Sprigatito singing his own name to Despacito? I think Sprigatito is actually really clever because I was like, wait, oh, gatito is kitten in Spanish, and sprig is like a
Yeah,
sprig of. I'm
so
like, Sprigatito.
There's been
It's cute.
people have been like, so yeah, Pokemon typically does this. They drop the starters, and then we got the title, which was something, and then, like nothing. And you'll get stuff as they get closer to the date, including what the region's like. So everyone right now is speculating Spain, maybe Italy,
Yeah.
but no one knows.
Has it
I mean,
been
given the
confirmed that it is
names-
a new region?
I believe so. Generally, when you get a new gen, you get a new region because then you can be like, oh well, of course there are different Pokemon over there
Right.
that you've never seen before because why would they be over here where you've already been?
And then they'll also make like usually like half the Pokemon or whatever will be like the new versions of previous Pokemon too, right?
Sometimes it depends on what they're doing. It seems like what they've been doing is regional variants,
Mm.
which is a fun way to do it.
Because I'll still, otherwise you have to come up with 200 new Pokemon each time. They're already running out of ideas.
Yeah.
They were running out of ideas a long time ago. But
You can't make all of them sexy either, which is
how
even
many
harder.
different variations of a cat on fire can we make?
I've also learned that apparently James the bulk of James Turner's evolutions are not fuckable. So that gets people really angry in the Pokemon community.
Okay.
Has
This is the first time in a while where I've seen 3 of them together, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't have a strong connection to any of them particularly, but they all seem pretty good.
Nice.
Quaxley is an excellent name for that duck.
Yeah.
For one thing. And I don't know. I've seen so many fan arts of the Pepper Dino.
Yeah.
With other
Fuecoco.
Pokemon that are kind of like it, and they're all going wah together. And then like there's even some where like Pokemon who are very close try to dress up and also join the party. And I'm like, well now I'm just endeared by fan art.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
my only
so-
issue with Quaxley is that Quaxley sounds like the name of a specific duck, not like
Yes.
the name of the breed.
It's a proper
Right.
duck. Yeah,
But
proper noun.
but it's like Quaxley. That sounds like a butler in the DuckTales universe.
Yeah, it's true.
Come, Quaxley.
there was like a bunch of people who said we wouldn't be getting the Gen 9 starters. There was an argument about whether or not they would reveal Gen 9 starters at the Pokemon Presents. Because a lot of people were like, well, we did just have Sword and Shield,
Yes.
which was actually like 3 years ago. I know it doesn't feel like it. But Sword and Shield did, instead of doing, and they haven't really done the 3rd version of the game in a while. They've done sequels, or for Sword and Shield, they did DLC expansions.
Mhm.
Right. They just
And
did
so,
more.
yeah, because of that DLC expansion, people were expecting that Pokemon Legends Arceus would get a big DLC expansion, and that would be like the Pokemon for this year in November. So it was just kind of a thing of this surprised a lot of people because they were so dead set against the idea that they would even do this. And so it's like, well, that's kind of interesting. Me personally, I was upset because the way they decided to promote this was they showed a security officer, a Japanese security officer with like the white gloves and the flashlight going through a building, and he finds a big glowing room,
Yeah.
and inside the room is all of like this very fancy furniture that's very rich and whatnot. And I was just like, Detective Pikachu too, because they like focused in on
Yeah.
this coffee cup, and I was just like, you're finally gonna tell me about this game, and they didn't.
So you're
Yeah.
angry.
And-
You're angry about the teasing.
Yeah, everything about it kind of felt like a setup for like very like Sherlock Holmes kind of, or like Great World Adventurer kind of thing, and you're like then that puts you in mind of, oh, a detective thing, oh, Detective Pikachu, oh, they're gonna do new Detective Pikachu, awesome. But yeah, no, they're not doing that. So
Well,
Now-
it's been in development for a while.
yeah, they're not releasing it right
That
now.
they didn't announce
I
it,
guess is what
and
I should
I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
Now the joke has been that like Pokemon Legends Arceus is like the second Pokemon game that they've made, in the sense that it's the first like new Pokemon game that actually has like different mechanics that they've made. Is the theory is that this is sort of going to be like basically Sword and Shield, or is this or do we know yet?
This is mainline, I think. Yeah.
Well, this is considered mainline. Sword
Yeah.
Shield is considered mainline. Pokemon Legends is considered spin-off, I
Right.
believe.
So mechanically,
this
this
game-
will be closer to Sword and Shield, presumably.
That's what people are afraid of. So we do know it's supposedly an open world game because they their descriptive paragraph on the website talks about how it's a seamless world of whatever, and so people are like, oh, Pokemon Legends was an experiment to like work on that open world aspect, because Legends is sort of open worldish, but kind of in different biomes that you go to. So it's kind of a limited open world feel.
Mm-hmm.
But what people really loved about Arceus was that you could sneak up on Pokemon, throw a Pokeball at it, and hopefully just catch it without having to fight it. Or if you did fight it, it didn't go through like a separate animation to do a new window to do that
Right.
one-on-one fight. And a lot of people really liked that it just goes into a fight really seamlessly and all these things.
You don't have
But
a
there's
separate
some
like
wording.
fight versus a
Yeah, and there's some wording in the paragraph that make people think that they're going to go back to what they were doing previously with the turn-based battles and the thing, and they don't really want that.
Right. I mean, there's the it's hard to make an argument that Legends it was like they made Legends. If somebody's arguing the fact that they made Legends because they wanted to test out the idea of doing a more open world feeling Pokemon game before they brought out the next mainline game, I would have to say that doesn't make any sense, because Arceus has only been out for
It came out in January.
right, but it's only been out for like a couple months, right? So you don't make a game and be like, we're making this game and we're making it as a. It's like making Skyward Sword, right? A lot of ideas from Skyward Sword are things that you see get expanded and developed upon for Breath of the Wild, but you can't. They wouldn't have like made Skyward Sword, and while they were making Skyward Sword, we're also making Breath of the Wild at the exact same time and being like, aha, these two things, we're letting this one influence this one. It's like, I don't think that's how any of that went down. I don't think that's how any of that goes down here, where it's like we're making Legends because we want to get out there and see how people reacted, and then everyone's really happy. So now we're making Scarlet and Violet. It's like
You don't.
Scarlet and Violet were probably already most of the way through development by the time Legends was also most of the way through development.
It might be less like whether people like it and more like from a development and mechanical standpoint, does this work?
And
like-
can we expand on it
Like
further? It's
6
just more
months
of
or a
what-
year ago,
Yeah.
Arceus was well into development and they were like, okay, this is fun. You know, that aspect, obviously they don't know what the audience will say, but at least they can see.
I mean, a year
it
ago,
as a game.
The audience was extremely hype about something that they thought was completely open world.
Yeah, and I think probably what happened is that Sword and Shield was in development. People got a sense of what that was going to be like. It comes out, and the play there is like, it's a much larger environment. You know, you have that kind of everyone expecting it to be an open world thing. It's not. Legends is already in development at that point, and they're working on this open world idea. And when they hear people saying it was Sword and Shield, like, man, I really was hoping this would be a little more open world. I bet you that was the thing to be like, take whatever we're learning from Legends and apply that to Scarlet and Violet.
I don't think when people say this was an experiment, or this, some people say it's almost like they made a tech demo for the new one. I don't think they're talking about audience reaction so much as this was like, this is you have a group of devs working on a thing, and then another group of devs who are like, oh yeah, that's really, we can probably do more.
I guess
like,
that's fair, right? Because devs are the ones who drive the initial idea of what a game is going to be like and what things they want to see happen in that game.
Like
Yeah.
you can imagine something like Arceus starting as like a Skunkworks thing, kind of like being like, what does the next generation of Pokemon game look like if we throw everything out? Let's make a new thing, and then they adapt and try to make that. But then meanwhile, there's an old school Pokemon game also being in development.
Because I bet you that whoever the team is who's making Scarlet and Violet was like, they're walking into the rooms where they're making Legends and seeing what's going on and getting to play a little bit of the early prototypes and being like, yo, this is rad. We are definitely doing all of this for the new game.
But like the other thing I've heard, because I haven't gotten to the website, it just didn't seem that important when I had a whole bunch of people in my face about it on Twitter with the news feed that I have selected and opt myself into. So I make that sound like people are coming up to me, but I went up to them. It sounds like there's also worry, or that it might have been that there might have been it's possibly gonna be the same thing that happened with Sword and Shield, where you can't have all. I guess at this point, if it were in Gen 9, there's probably going to be over 1,000 Pokemon, at least, in your single game.
Mm.
And with Pokemon Home being a thing,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I
You've-
think they see Pokemon Home as their solution to that, even if that is a paid service that you would have to pay for.
You say you
It
can't.
might not be ultimately. Well, okay. I think I think if you're gonna keep Pokemon a yearly franchise, then you probably have to take, and you're gonna make it larger and bigger all the time and do stuff with it, and you're gonna get it to actually be a more polished experience on the Switch, because they still have that thing where they're. I don't feel like they've fully figured out how to program for the Switch off of the 3DS yet.
Mm.
I feel like they need a lot more time, and so we'd be getting a lot more spin-offs in between. And I think it would be longer than 3 years for this to come out.
I mean, there was of course all the consternation about Sword and Shield not having all the Pokemon, which, sort of, you can see the arguments for and against, but it's like, if you weren't going to do that, maybe you shouldn't have catch them all. Got to catch them all as your slogan.
Yeah.
I know for a while they backed off on that slogan.
Have they kind of backed off on that?
They did for a while. I don't know if they
Now
came
it's-
back with it.
Catch a lot of them.
I think they came back with that slogan when Pokemon Go was a thing, and Pokemon Go really might be the first game that ends up being able to have everything eventually. They're not at that point yet. I believe they're working on getting the Aloha, which should be Gen 7, which means they don't have Gen 8.
Mm.
Nice.
I don't know if they have any. It's been a while since I played Pokemon Go, but when they were putting out some of the generations of Pokemon, there were always like 2 or 3 Pokemon sometimes that would take longer to come out because they hadn't figured out how to deal with it having a specific evolution thing, or how they would have that show up yet.
Right.
So that could still take a while for them to catch up.
I don't even know if in Japanese "Gotta catch 'em all" was a slogan they ever used.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Anyway,
And now we have our most controversial story about that Red Hot Chili Peppers album, Californication, was made into a video game. Controversial. I'm just judging by the YouTube comments. Because-
Yeah. What was wrong with it,
Because
Paul?
the name of the song is Californication, not Californication, which seemed to be a lot of people were very concerned that Kathleen was mispronouncing it.
I find that we get a lot of people who like to tell us when we're wrong about pronunciation, but don't like to read the comments and notice that a lot of other people will tell us about a mispronunciation already.
I think it'd be really if the thing to do is go read the comments, and if somebody else has done it, just give them a thumbs up, because that'll just bubble that to the top of the list. Then it'll really get noticed.
I just, I'm saying, like, there was a James Bond from Rewatch with Love episode that still to this day, people have decided, even though there are over dozens of comments about it in the comment section, that they need to tell them that their math was wrong and that they were off by 10 years. And I can tell you that when people record a thing in kind of a live setting, even though it's not live and whatnot, people make mistakes, people make mispronunciations. Sometimes they just don't know, but you don't need to inform them every 5 minutes. And as a crowd,
You think
it got to a point where I started deleting those comments when I saw them
it's like
become new,
in
because
order
it's
to-
still happening.
in order to write a comment, the box to write a comment is underneath the, like, you have to scroll down and look at the comments in order to write a comment. So you can see that comment has already been written by somebody.
Now, on the other hand, Divides by Zero wants to start commenting when we're getting pronunciations right. For example, whenever I say Nintendo, I mean, I'm pronouncing it obviously the English way, Nintendo, but yeah, if you're, please don't leave comments on how good our pronunciation in our own native language is of words that
kinda
we're getting
weird,
right.
yeah.
Just because I think that level
It's-
of condescension will start to grate.
There's also
Just leave comments about how good my Norwegian is. Just leave a comment saying how good I am at saying German words
and
there
and
I
not
wanna
actually are
along.
sometimes comments about, you know, when we, it's like when Graham does like a crack a pack of a German pack, people will be like, "You did okay on this."
Yeah,
that
we
does
love
happen.
hearing that. Like when it's not our native language, you're like, oh shit, that came out not bad. You know.
I saw somebody in the chat say they like to razz Wiggins, and like he's got a Twitter account. You can go razz him on Twitter. If you're still making that comment about the time difference, like months after the episode is out, the only person who's reading them is me
It's,
at that point, and I will delete them because I will get mad, and you'd be lucky if I don't just lock down a comment section altogether.
so for those of you who listen to our Magic podcast, Tap Concede, you know, we've got the nicknames episode that we do where we have a website that was an awesome web app that was designed by Your Games Be Over, a fan who was like, I have a better version of what you guys were doing. We'll use this. And it's great. And one of the features of it is that if you type in if you put in a nickname that has already been suggested, it'll say, this name has already been suggested. Do you want to just like upvote this one instead?
Right.
Rather than so we don't have like 10 different people suggesting the same nickname.
Which will mean people be like, no, I want mine to win, so I'm going to misspell it.
Yes. Typos, unfortunately, there's a little bit of fuzzy matching, but it's, you know, it's not a very sophisticated system. But theoretically, you'd think with all the AI natural language processing that Google has, they could do that, be like, hey, there's a comment that is exactly the same thing that you just wrote. Are you sure you want to actually make this? Anyway.
So anyway, yeah, Californication is a song, I guess, an album, but it is definitely a song.
It's an album and a song, yes.
Yeah. And
okay.
the I didn't know this because I didn't watch much music back in the day that much, but apparently everyone else watched a lot of music television and that.
MTV was on constantly in the classroom.
And so the music video for Californication is it's set in a GTA looking kind of 3D world. It's very video game-y, apparently. I still haven't seen it. I kind of don't care. What I care about is that someone did care so much about this. They're like, wait, I can make a game that's based on the thing they probably had to hand animate.
Yeah, I mean, at that time,
Well, not hand animate, but it had to animate in bit by bit to make this happen. And there's 7 levels.
Late 90s.
Yeah,
would have
23 years or something.
Probably really sucked to animate.
Yeah, and yeah, you can get it for free on Itch.io. And also Itch.io has been purchased by Raytheon. That's not true at all. That's just a thing I saw floating around after Bandcamp got bought by Epic. I was kind of like, okay.
Have you not seen that Twitch will now ban people for being sources of misinformation?
Oh, really?
Yeah, they updated their guidelines.
Oh, no.
They actually took down a couple of Twitch channels that were misinforming people about politics.
Good for them.
Wait, what about the Rhythm Cafe House of Lies? Is that going to run into a problem?
Okay. Here's how I figured this out. I specifically tell people we're telling you lies when I say we're in the House of Lies, and at that point, I believe that falls under comedy and not actually informing people properly, but having informed them that I'm not informing them properly. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
So I think I can get away with it.
And the last story that we talked about on CheckPoint, it's been we're going through the episode this week. Has been a long time, but
yes.
Is that Robert Pattinson likes Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah. It's a very formative experience for him.
And he specifically the love triangle between Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa was a formative moment for him. I would guess in the
Yeah.
in the evolution of young Robert Pattinson.
And I took an opportunity to basically watch the interview he did. It was him and Zoe Kravitz, I believe, is who's playing his opposite in The Batman.
Yeah, who plays the Catwoman?
The Catwoman.
Yeah.
And anyway, he was breaking down the love triangle and explaining Final Fantasy VII, like Aerith and Tifa, which and he didn't do it any justice whatsoever. He did like kind of the worst representation of how you would describe it to somebody. Maybe he even did it on purpose. I don't know, but it was wonderful to watch because Zoe's just kind of like, "What are you talking about?" Yes, of course, the woman always has to be the one that heals everybody else. Like it was kind of the perfect just distillation of that kind of thing. And I just like, well, I'm just gonna goof on it.
I mean,
Why not?
you and I had a great third base type conversation
Yeah,
about this story when I kept asking you who Robert Pattinson was.
right. Yeah, I was like the Batman,
Which one?
from the Batman.
Which Batman?
He's the eponymous Batman from the Batman.
The first Batman?
No, he's the titular Batman from the Batman. So he's playing the Batman in the Batman.
Where's the Batman?
Third base.
Yeah.
Mm.
I didn't know there was a new movie coming out.
Yeah.
Beach just kept saying the Batman.
I
over
didn't
and over,
know it
like,
had come
like,
out.
It was something I would knew. It was like, okay, there've been several. Which one's canonical?
The guy with the bat is on third base. That doesn't make any sense.
No,
can't
you should
bat
have
from
dropped
third-
it before.
You can't bat from third base.
No. It's against the... Well, it was against the rules.
All right, let's go through a couple other stories that we talked about. I mean, those quick points captured a lot of the stuff here, but there's a few other things. You can check out silenthill.com
Yes.
because for the second time, Konami let the domain expire. They let it expire a couple of years ago and then got it back, and then apparently have let it expire again.
But we
And-
still can't make more Silent Hill games.
And somebody else bought it and replaced the entire content of silenthill.com is now just a tweet from the maker of Silent Hill regretting having made Pyramid Head.
It's wonderful.
The official place for actual Silent Hill content is now just like konami.com/Silent Hill or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else we got here. We talked a little bit about Fortnite on with the Epic Bandcamp thing, and I'm a sucker for weird people showing up in Fortnite reveals. I know that they're doing it just to get news because it's a weird thing that's happening, but I am powerless against
It's working. It was what
Yeah.
you're saying. Their PR is working.
Is that Ezio from Assassin's Creed is apparently going to be in Fortnite, which I feel like Ezio, being an assassin from Renaissance Italy, using the hidden blade and so forth, is going to be like, oh, machine guns.
Really?
These are way better for assassinating people. I should have been
Shadow.
using this all along.
And didn't
Stealth
they,
is a thing? No.
Laser-
didn't they just add the
Lasers?
guy from Uncharted?
Missile launchers. This is all way better than what I had.
Yeah.
Didn't they just add the guy from Uncharted?
Nathan?
Nathan Drake?
Is
Did
he
they?
there too?
I thought he was in there.
I guess because
swear-
the movie's coming out.
I swear
Seems-
I saw an image of like what he's supposed to look like, and it's very much based on the video game version.
It's
But I looked at him and I was like, "Oh, are they adding him to The Sims?" Because he kind of looks like like a really well done Sims version of himself.
By and large, I'm just
Nathan Drake is just like guy in a shirt. Like he's not really doesn't have that distinctive a look.
this kind of thing used to always bother me because I'm like, oh God, Christ, yes, another well-known character from a well-known series or game or franchise or whatever is showing up in Fortnite. Jesus Christ, more of this kind of this whole metaverse nonsense. And you know what? I've now I don't even have an opinion about it. I don't even I just bounce off it because at least it's not Assassin's Creed Ezio is an NFT. At least it's not that shit. It's just kind of like, hey, somebody's coming to Fortnite. I'm like, well, like, he could have been an NFT for all I know. So like, this is fine. I'm fine with this.
I mean, I guess maybe it's just because Fortnite feels like it'll happen forever. But I cared much more about the Smash character reveals only because they at least did a fun intro video,
Yeah.
and I could make up some sort of weird storyline about things. But I don't care enough to do that for Fortnite.
Yeah.
Well, and also in Fortnite, like, it's just a skin, right? Like, it's not like it
Yeah.
actually changes the gameplay.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Also coming to
and
Fortnite.
also another person that's showing up in Fortnite is Naomi Osaka, 2-time U.S. and Australian Open champion of tennis.
So she's from the game Tennis.
So wait, she's gonna find out that tennis is also probably a much easier game with machine guns?
I guess so.
Is
yeah.
that what we're getting at?
So she's the like third. No, maybe more than that. I know we talked about these before, but they've been doing like real people in Fortnite that are just like sports stars. And apparently this person, in addition to being a tennis champion, also has a very distinctive style. Does like a fashion design. She's like a fashion designer as well. And so she works particularly well.
What's it got to be like being a real person, piloting yourself through Fortnite, seeing somebody else who is dressed up like you in Fortnite, and then having them kill you?
It's quite an existential thing.
Yeah.
I mean, because that first part sounds really cool, honestly. Like, if I was a character in a video game and I could just put myself
It's just
in
like
the game,
having
that,
a cool
that
avatar.
sounds
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But then coming across, let's say not another player, but even like a shadow version of yourself that might hurt you.
Oh yeah.
That seems weird.
But I'm
on its
talking
own.
like, a mirror version, like basically one that comes right up to you and it's like, shit, it's actually me.
Yeah.
You have that like the Prestige moment where you're like, wait, am I the one who dies in this scenario? Or yeah, holy crap.
Now that's creepy. Why do you always have to make it creepy?
Mm-hmm. Just throwing that out there.
Speaking of making things creepy,
Thanks.
do you like Metroidvanias?
Yes.
Well, then you can check out this game to be launching on March 16th called Wife Quest.
Oh, no one's gonna play that game.
Coming out on
It comes
Switch.
out that day.
Yeah.
It's described as humorous and often naughty. Wife Quest, you take on the role of Mia, a former warrior on a mission to rescue her beloved husband, Fernando, who has been kidnapped by a group of seductive monster girls. Defeating each boss will net Mia new abilities, which allow you to upgrade to the in-game store. And there's mini games and unlockable galleries, and it's a Metroidvania that is humorous and often naughty.
But wait, you're playing as the wife.
Yeah.
Who's rescuing the guy. So shouldn't it be wife's quest?
Yeah.
Wife is quest. I mean, Metroid isn't about Metroids, so
It's true.
Yeah, and I still thought that was weird when I played it the first time.
I thought the idea was this woman is on a quest to get more wives.
I played that game.
That's what I thought it was
That
going to
is
be
definitely what
about.
that
And it's like,
game
oh,
should
she's
be
trying to
about.
find her husband. I'm like, isn't this 10 technically husband quest? Because that's what you're questing for?
My husband got kidnapped. Well, time to go find 10 wives.
I mean, who knows what will happen in the course of the game.
Yeah. I like Metroidvanias and I like Sin, but I don't think I'm going to get this one.
From goblins to witches to slimes and more, Mia will have plenty of monster girls to punish along the way, each with unique animations.
Oh, that's different than what I want.
See, there's a new hentai beat 'em up game that just came out on itch.io. It's like $5, and I was like, when I looked at the graphics for that, I was kind of like, this is what I expected Wife Quest to be like. This is what I expected that to be. It's whatever it's called, something Onyx. I can't remember what the hell it is again, but yeah, saw it linked on another Discord. I'm like, what, a hentai beat 'em up RPG? What? But anyway, let's talk about Kirby.
Yeah,
I
speaking
didn't
of
know these existed.
something that's different from that, uh, Kirby plushies.
Oh,
There's a
shit.
new set. So these are out in time for the new Kirby game, but aren't actually related to the new Kirby game. They're just
Yeah.
adorable
Uh-huh.
Kirby plushies.
Sleepy Kirby is best Kirby.
I think the
Ooh, Star Kirby's pretty good too.
so here's the thing: is that a lot of these are like Kirby's Dream Land All Star Collection, Kirby's Dream Land 30th Anniversary Collection. I'm wondering if these are this page is like there are some new Kirby plushies that have been released, and then here's a whole bunch of other Kirby plushies that are also available.
There are
That
a
have
lot
been-
of Kirby plushies.
Because I'm like, I don't think Nintendo would have decided, especially when a lot of them are very different designs. I'm like, I think this is the entire Kirby plushie collection that you could just get. Not all these are going to be brand new.
Kirby
Some of them are
has a
going to be like are going to be like older stock or whatever.
Super sleepy.
I like-
But hey, buy some Kirby plushies.
There's also like just I like that there's just like a plush version of the tree.
From Wispy Woods,
Yeah.
That needs to be a hug pillow. That needs to be like a Dakimakura style. You put it in your bed so you can like grab onto it.
Of
The Wispy Woods tree.
it's just gonna blow you away though.
Well, you turn it the other way so it's facing away from you.
Oh, so you kind of use it as a tower defense mechanism.
Yeah,
It blows other
essentially.
people away from you while you're trying to nap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, I can get behind that.
Maybe this is for the new game, and this is Kirby in mouthful mode having eaten a pillow. He's
Ah.
like, doopity boop boop. Dead by Daylight is getting a board game adaptation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which it looks super neat actually. It's like you Dead by Daylight asymmetrical horror game, where you have like the survivors and the killer and stuff. And so it's launching on Kickstarter in the near future, but they've shared a few stuff about it, and it looks like it's going to be more I guess representational it's not like you moving around the board running away from a guy. It's like you have to you sort of move your person from different things, completing different objectives.
Ah.
Yeah, I feel
To
like
try to
it's
stay safe.
the kind of thing that will probably fund quite quickly, because people are,
I mean,
People
people
like
like
it.
Dead by Daylight, from what I understand.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not
for-
my kind of game, but it seems like it's a fairly
it's
decently popular one.
it seems like if you want to play like Betrayal at the House on the Hill, but not the first part of it, and just go right to the betrayal part,
Yeah.
Isn't that just Among Us?
then this might be for you.
I have a hard time with video games becoming board games because it's like I went to Interactivity because they had a new Camel Up in the window.
Okay.
And I'm like, whoa, what's this? Must be like a Camel Up expansion, right? And I go and pick it up. It's called Camel Up Off Season. And I pick it up and I turn it around and I look on the back of it. And it is nothing like Camel Up. It's not about stacking camels and moving around a board and like
So
getting...
it's a spin-off board game using the branding?
Yes. It's basically what it's about is
Huh.
you have to take your camels back from the camel racing thing. This is the off season. So you bring your camels back and now they have to do other things. Like you have to like be able to make deliveries and you'll have to do like other things with your camels and it's all like resource acquisition or like whatever else. And I'm kind of like, it's this kind of thing where I'm like, did someone design that game because they started with the idea of like, well, what do the camels do in the off season? Or did someone design a game and then somebody who works at the company says, hey, we
There's
can
like a-
brand this as a Camel Up game and then we can sell lots of them because people love Camel Up. And that's what I think a lot of times, like when I saw the
Yeah.
Dead by Daylight one, is I was like, is this Dead by Daylight or is this a game someone designed that happened to fit very well with the Dead by
Yeah,
Daylight
I mean,
idea?
I wouldn't be surprised by that kind of thing because if you have a branding that sells it. It's easier to sell more of that if you can put that branding on something else than to try to launch something brand new that you have to teach people to recognize,
Yeah,
right?
and it might be a very
Like it worked
good
with
game.
you saw the thing in the window and
I
you were like,
think
oh, I'm gonna go look
I
at it.
think
Yeah.
I think a lot of these, especially these like the bigger ones, are like often they are sort of mechanically really, trying to capture the game
Yeah,
in such a way that, I mean, maybe, the designer started with something in the back of their mind, but they I mean, I personally, that aspect of these board games I find quite fascinating, the idea of sort of trying to capture the essence of a video game in this completely different medium,
Mm.
and sort of trying to replicate the I was looking at the Deep Rock Galactic board game Kickstarter is, I think it's just ending pretty right now, and that looks like a really neat board game, and again very capturing of the essence of the thing. Like it's like a board game, but you can actually like drill through things and like make alternate paths through stuff, and it seems like a very neat, very well
Mhm.
made and well thought out kind of thing. So it's
nice.
neat when they can replicate the
Yeah.
or sort of the feeling of a mechanic.
Yeah, like Fallout was really good for that. XCOM was very good for that.
I look at board game adaptations from other things in the same way that I look at a book being adapted into a movie or a video game having an anime tie-in
Yeah,
that it never had in before
Mm.
or something like that. In the 80s and 90s, they were all unreliable and probably cash grabs. Now they're probably better, but you still never are totally sure because you were bitten earlier,
yeah,
and it's best to try and read reviews before you buy.
yeah.
If you see, although if you see like Fallout Monopoly, that's probably not one to go for.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, but that's what I mean, right? Like it's still it's there's still this chance of like it doesn't work very well. It's a cash grab, or it's sometimes games don't translate into the same kind of thing with a board game, but the board game might still be really good because it's different. It's different in this other way,
Yeah. You can still have a lot of
right?
fun, even if it is different mechanics.
There are video games that get translated into anime that I've watched where I'm like, ah, this is not a substitute for playing the game because it lacks stuff that you can do in the game that really help make that an experience. But in
Right.
other ways, it still can be a decent story.
I like the stuff around like say like the Yu-Gi-Oh anime where people watching and be like they're cheating. It's like you're not allowed to do that in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh. You're blatantly cheating.
Yep.
I know Yu-Gi-Oh is made to sell cards, but I really really wish that they had done more than just the very first season of the other games that existed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
the very first season that didn't come over here, so in all the fan subs they listed them as negative episodes. He played other games. He played normal games with like basically like tic tac toe, but now there was like the Shadow Realm that you could die in if you lost. He made the Millennium Puzzle in that season.
Tic-tac-toe for death. That'd be
I
a
mean,
terrible. I would
Very
not.
essentially.
kaiji.
That would just you would just have ties all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, in an anime though, if you've seen a sports anime, you can make anything intense.
And
Anyway,
go ahead.
I think that was the last thing I had down.
And
Oh
there
yes,
was
Fallout 76 is going to be having some new expansion stuff in 2022 that may involve aliens, which I have found out over the course of looking into this is actually not that new a thing for Fallout. Like apparently aliens have been like in like there's been like Easter eggs in all of the Fallout, like in the
Oh,
early Fallout games,
all
where
right.
like one of the random encounters you could find was like a downed spaceship. But they
Cool.
were always like kind of not, they're kind of secret things and stuff. But apparently aliens are just gonna like show up now.
All right.
So that's cool. Things are going to get weird with alien invasions in Fallout 76. That's all I got.
Right.
I wanted
All right.
I wanted to mention that. So first, there's a demo for the new Kirby game that if you don't know
Right.
about but you want to play, you can do that. But
Yeah.
also, in Japan, as a promotion, you can buy a Switch OLED with a box that has Kirby on it.
They're
It covers the whole box.
It's like box.
Yeah.
It's not even. It's like box Kirby. It's like he
Yeah.
ate the box. It is
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and it's now turned
There's
into a
nothing
box.
special or different about this OLED Switch. There's no
That-
game in it. There's
that
no
speaks of like very
things. It's just
like,
a box.
Like that speaks of like last minute. Like, oh crap, we have to come up with something.
Yeah.
Put it in a box.
It's real weird because
What's
it's
Kirby
like,
in a box? Pink. I don't know.
It's so weird because it's like why is because he doesn't even look mouthful mode. Like it's
No,
not like
it's
not like
just
he's
his face
trying
on
to
the
eat the
box.
box and then there's a bit of it sticking out the bottom that has a Nintendo Switch logo or anything on it. Like
That
they
would
didn't
be
design
awesome.
a new box that makes it look like he's trying to eat the damn thing.
This is
Especially if it was like a slipcase that just went over the normal box, but
or over any box.
yeah, or over any box for that matter, right?
Yeah.
But no, this is just Kirby as a box. Like this is
Yeah.
just like a particularly square rectangular Kirby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite mouthful mode thing I have seen is in Hong Kong. The pre-order bonus is a rain cover for your backpack, and they do put the eyes on the top of the bag. So I'm kind of hoping there's like little feet at the bottom. And if I could get a hold of one, I would absolutely switch out my backpack cover for that. It's really weird. I think it's one of the best things I've seen.
Is Kirby waterproof?
Kirby canonically is indestructible according to Smash Canon. It's why he's the one who survives the initial big blast thing that happens at the beginning of the story mode campaign thing they did. And that's why you have to start out as him to go do all the fighting.
Wait, do the other characters in Smash die?
Yes. Or they turn to stone or something.
Yeah,
They're basically dead.
In Ultimate, the single player campaign is that they're all turned into statues again.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Right. Because
There was a interview where he suggested where it was suggested that there were like 2 or 3 other characters that technically might have been able to survive the attack that happened, but Kirby out of all of them was considered the friendliest to start with in terms of a fighting style.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean Kirby's just the best.
I am a big fan of the Kirby games.
He's so
And
cute.
He's adorable and also eats things and can fly. I mean, I remember like playing the first time I played a Kirby game, I was like, this is dumb. Not because I didn't like the game, but I was just like, it's a platforming game where you can just fly whenever you want.
Yeah.
That makes the whole thing a lot easier.
Yeah.
I was just like used to playing like Mario or whatever, and it's like,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
like these jumps don't, like missing a jump doesn't matter. You just fly up onto the thing if you missed it.
Uh-huh. And yet Kirby's Epic Yarn, perfect game as far as I'm
Oh
concerned.
God,
Exactly.
You can't even die in that game.
Excellent game.
Finest Kirby game I think they've ever made.
Anyway, that's it for the news. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you for joining us. Let's see what's coming up next. Friday Night Paper Fight in just over an hour. We're going to be doing some Gladiator in preparation. Well, not in preparation, but and also letting you know that tomorrow there's actually a big Gladiator tournament, not being put on by Loading Ready Run, but the Gladiator community is putting on a tournament, and so maybe you'll get a little preview of some of the things that will be happening during that tournament tomorrow. Because we don't actually have any streams tomorrow. Maybe there's some.
Oh, right. Saturday's
connections
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then on Sunday, it's Elden Ring.
Hey.
Yeah, for those
If
of
you were watching before this program, there's more of that happening on Sunday.
Yeah. And then on Sunday afternoon, it's not
this.
not Devo or whatever.
Demo Reborn. We finished it. It has a very sad ending, so
Oh,
you've been warned. But we did finish it.
musical
We
story.
even, I think we even 100%ed it in terms of all the puzzles. I not the songs. That would suggest that we actually were a lot better at those than we were.
Yeah.
Is musical story a like a romance game?
I
But
think it's an
also
RPG type
I think,
thing where stuff happens to the beat around you.
yeah,
Ooh.
it's a I think it's a musical story is what it's called. And
Oh, there
it's
is a little A there. Yeah.
yeah, and it's a it is largely, I know there's supposed to be, the rhythm element is there.
Yes,
Yes.
as I understand, there is a rhythm element
Yeah.
to it.
But the story is told largely through no text, but just through the things that happen on screen.
That's true.
Is
A
what I
musical
understand it to
story
be.
could also mean like a musical story, as in like a story that isn't musical.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Any
I
musical,
believe in
atonal.
the case of this game, Ian and I have both not looked up as much as possible so that we can be surprised by anything that happens.
Yeah,
Nice.
nice.
And then Wheeler's going to be playing Legends of Runeterra.
Ah, he's
on
moved
Is This
on
Your
from
Card?
Inscription.
Yeah. And then on Monday, it's the Can't Draw Horses Club, where Corey and friends are going to be drawing things that may or may not be horses. I don't know who her guest will be, but I'm sure it will be great.
I know I've seen the list for this month, so I don't know who's on that exact day.
And then
Nice.
Monday evening, I believe this is the finale in our trilogy of Mario sports games. If
Just
you
decided
count
Mario, right?
if you count Mario partying as a sport, I guess.
Mm.
But we're gonna be playing some Mario Golf Super Rush.
Maybe we should have done Mario Party as the third game, because then it's like the after party after you do the sports events.
That's true.
So maybe we should do Mario Party again after this, is what I'm saying, and I should be on it.
Party before
again,
and party after.
so I can take revenge for being in second place. I'm on Mario Golf though, so maybe I'll just take my revenge there.
Yeah, there you go. So that should be that's super fun. Lots of cool stuff coming up. loadingrerun.com/live, place to go see the full schedule. Let's thank some people who subscribed during the stream.
Bum, bum, bum.
People like Lady DCat for 9 months. Thank you very much.
Rosiak for 96 months.
Mirk for 87 months. Welcome back.
Solar Bear 44 for 15 months.
3D Professor was gifted a gift sub.
Favre the Undead for 9 months. Welcome back.
The Battle of Hastings for 19 months.
House of Lies. Even fire. I wanted to say
House
flies.
O' Flies.
Evil Badman resub for 25 months. Hey, welcome back.
And good old Fuzz Bubbles here for 34 months. Thank you very much. Welcome to the House of Flies. The House O' Flies.
The House of Flies.
Thanks everybody for joining us on this stream. And if you haven't, for some reason, if you haven't watched the CheckPoint, you should go watch it, because
It's a very good one.
You already know all the news, but it was funnier in the episode.
It was, yeah, maybe even potentially explained better. At least the Bandcamp one was definitely explained better in the episode than what we did, which was nothing.
Anyway, we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.